Welcome all. Today we are going to learn a specific system of human body which regulates the transportation of different substances to each and every part, mainly to each and every cell of the body. This system regulates the transportation of substances like digested food, oxygen which we inhale to each and every cell of the body. Like that, this system plays a major role in the excretion process also. Whatever the excretory substances formed in various organs of the body, those travel through this system and they are excreted by the excretory organs out of the body. So that system is called as the human circulatory system. Now we'll see about the important components of this system. The circulatory system mainly consists of heart, blood and blood vessels. In this first we'll see about the blood. Okay, blood is the combination of plasma and blood. It is called as the fluid connective tissue of the body. Why it is called as fluid connective tissue? Because it will be present in the form of a liquid part which flows throughout the body and connects each and every cell of the body. That's why blood is called as fluid connective tissue of the body. And on an average, a healthy human being consists of about 4 to 6 liters of blood in his or her body. And blood is mainly again consists of two main parts. Those are plasma and blood cells. The plasma is the liquid part of the blood which forms around 50 to 60% of the blood. That means out of 4 to 6 liters of blood, about 2.5 to 3 liters of blood is composed of plasma. Coming to the how the plasma is visible is it is visible in pale yellow color. It contains about 92% of water, 8% of proteins, and remaining 1% inorganic salts and some other substances. In traces, they are present. Inorganic salts and the other substances, they are present in very minute quantities. That means in traces. Next part of the blood is blood corpuscles. There are three types of blood corpuscles. About 40 to 45% of blood, these blood cells are only present. And these blood cells or blood corpuscles are of three types. They are red blood cells or erythrocytes, white blood cells or leukocytes, and blood platelets or thrombocytes. Out of these, first we'll see about the red blood cells. The name itself indicates that these cells are red in color. Why they are red in color? Because they contain an iron based pigment called hemoglobin. They contain an iron based pigment called hemoglobin. Heme means iron. Globin means a kind of protein which is present in the blood. So both together they form the hemoglobin. What is the main function of this hemoglobin? It is it is helpful in carrying the oxygen which we inhale from the respiratory system to each and every cell of the body. Along with this oxygen, the digested food also reaches each and every cell of the body, and inside the cell, the food gets oxidized with the oxygen which inhale and it produces energy. This process is called respiratory system or respiration. Already you know about this. We completed about this topic. Now, coming to the the function of hemoglobin, how it combines with the oxygen is when we inhale oxygen, it combines with the hemoglobin which is present in the blood and forms a component called oxyhemoglobin. This oxyhemoglobin travels all through the bed and it travels all through the blood and reaches the cells, each and every cell of the body. Immediately when it reaches the cells, the oxygen is sent inside the cell through the plasma membrane of cell, and again hemoglobin and oxygen they get separated. The cells, while performing this respiration process, they will give out carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide will get combined with the hemoglobin, and a product called carbaminohemoglobin is formed, which is carried to the lungs for oxygenation again. So in this way, the hemoglobin, the main pigment which plays an important role in the carrying of oxygen to all parts of the body, it is present in the blood. Coming to the production of RBC, where these are produced. RBC are produced in the bone marrow. The bone marrow is the soft tissue of the bone. This soft tissue, which is called as bone marrow, it is present in middle of the bone. And the RBCs, they have a limited lifespan. They live up to 3 to 4 months, that is about 120 days they will live. After the lifespan or after the life period, these RBCs they will get destroyed in liver and spleen, and they are excreted as the liver pigments called or bile pigments called bilirubin. Okay, and coming to the shape of the RBC, these RBC they are biconcave disc shaped cells. They look as they are pressed from the sides. Okay, and in this RBC there the nucleus is absent. Actually for every cell nucleus is present, but in humans RBC nucleus is absent. Because of this absence of nucleus, there can it can accommodate more amount of hemoglobin, and it can transport more amount of oxygen. And coming to the functions of the red blood cells, they play a major role in transportation of oxygen and nutritive substances to each and every cell of the body. And the reaction which happens while transporting the oxygen, that is reversible reaction. That means the hemoglobin catches the oxygen, that means it combines with the oxygen, forms oxyhemoglobin. It carries that to the cells. In the cells again they get divided, that means oxygen will be diffused into the cells and hemoglobin will left with as it is how it was first before combining with the oxygen. Again, it combines with the carbon dioxide and forms carbaminohemoglobin. It is transported to the lungs for oxygenation, and this cycle repeats and continues. Okay, that is called reversible reaction. This is about the RBC. And RBC, they are present about the number, coming to the number of RBC, they are present about 5 to 6 million in blood per cubic meter. This is about red blood cells. Coming to the white blood cells. White blood cells are another type of blood cells which are present in the blood. As the name indicates, white in color, these cells are colorless in nature. And these cells, the white blood cells, they are colorless, they do not contain any hemoglobin. Coming to the number of these cells, these blood cells are present in less amount when compared to red blood cells. If these cells are increased, that means if white blood cells are increased their number about from 20,000 to 30,000 or 30,000 to 50,000 per cubic meter of blood, some infection, it indicates some infection is there in our body. And these cells are also produced in the red bone marrow and lymph. The lifespan of these cells is about 12 hours to 12 days. After the lifespan, they get destroyed in the lymphatic system. What is lymphatic system? In your higher classes you will read. Coming to the shape of these cells, these white blood cells, they are larger than red blood cells, and these cells, they contain nucleus. They don't have any specific shape, and they change their shape like amoeba. And especially the function of these white blood cells is they play a major role in protecting our body from infections which are caused by bacteria, viruses, and other foreign bodies. They destroy and kill any harmful substance which enter our body, and they are protective in nature. As they have the shape of changing, how they destroy the foreign particles is they engulf the foreign particles. That means they move like amoeba with different shapes, and they catch the foreign body and they destroy them. They engulf them. What in Mingesi? They will kill the foreign bodies. Now, coming to the white blood cells. White blood cells are again divided into two types: granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes are again divided into three types: neutrophils, basophils, and eosinophils. Agranulocytes are divided into lymphocytes and monocytes. The name itself indicates that granulocytes means in the cell some granular like structures are present. Like that, agranulocytes means they don't have any granule like structures. And again, these neutrophils, basophils, eosinophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, they have nucleus which have different shapes. So, out of all these, one type of white blood cells, they have S-shaped nucleus. One type they have bilobed nucleus, and one type they have C-shaped nucleus. Like that, they have nucleus, these white blood cells, which are of different shapes. This is about white blood cell. Coming to the blood platelets, these blood platelets are also called as thrombocytes. These are also colorless blood cells. Coming to their number, they are present about 2 lakh to 4 lakh in number per cubic meter of blood. These cells are also produced in the bone marrow, and they have a lifespan of 3 to 7 days. Coming to the shape, they are disc-shaped cells without nucleus. These cells are, that means the blood platelets are smaller than both RBC and WBC. And function of these blood platelets is they prevent blood loss from forming clot over wounds and cuts. This is about the various blood cells. Now, coming to the functions of blood. What type of functions the blood shows? Mainly the blood, it shows various functions, mostly the transportation of various substances. So blood involves in the transportation of nutrients. It transports the nutrients after digestion and absorption from the small intestine. So actually the digestion is completed in the small intestine, and from there through the villi, finger-like projections which are present around the walls of small intestine, from those structures the digested food enters into the blood. That is absorption process of digested food particles. So from there, the digested food or nutrients, the, they are transported to each and every cell of the body. Next, it regulates the transportation of respiratory gases. As if I said, the, the blood transports oxygen from the lungs to the tissues of the body and brings carbon dioxide from the tissues back to the lungs. And next function of the blood is transportation of waste products. As if we studied during the starting of the lesson, various metabolic wastes which are produced in each and every cell, they are carried to the kidneys Various metabolic waste formed in the cells of the body are carried to the kidneys by the blood for excretion in the form of urine or in the form of sweat also. And next function carried out by blood is distribution of hormones. What are hormones? To carry out the body functions, some kinds of chemicals are secreted in various parts of the body. These chemical substances are called as hormones. Generally, these hormones they are responsible for the functioning of various organs and organ systems in the human body. These hormones are also from the particular organ from which they are secreted, they enter into the blood, and from the blood they reach to each and every part of the body. And the WBC of blood, they protect our body from various kinds of pathogens. Pathogens are nothing but the germs or any harmful organisms which enter from the outer environment into the body. Next, the blood platelets prevent loss of blood by forming blood clots over the cuts and wounds. The most important part or the most important function of the blood is it regulates the body temperature. It helps to keep the body temperature constant by distributing the heat produced in different tissues equally over all the body through circulation. Next, the blood maintains the salt and water balance in the body. This is the functions of the blood. So, up to now, what we have studied, once we'll recollect. So, the circulatory system, it regulates the transportation of various substances throughout the body. The circulatory system mainly consists of heart, blood vessels, and blood. Blood mainly consists of plasma and blood cells. Plasma is the liquid part of the blood. It contains various nutrients and other chemicals. Mainly, the plasma contains 92% of water, 8% of proteins, and 1% of inorganic salts. Coming to the blood cells, those are three types. They are red blood cells or erythrocytes, white blood cells are leukocytes, and blood platelets or thrombocytes. The red blood cells are biconcave disc-shaped cells. They don't have any nucleus and they play major role in transportation of oxygen. These red blood cells are produced in the bone marrow. The average lifespan of these red blood cells is 120 days. These red blood cells are present more in number, about 5 to 6 million RBCs in each millimeter cube of blood. These red blood cells are red in color due to the presence of iron containing protein called hemoglobin. This hemoglobin carries oxygen to each and every cell of the body and it regulates the transportation of oxygen. White blood cells or leukocytes. These cells are larger than red blood cells and do not contain hemoglobin. So they are colorless. They contain nucleus. They don't have any particular shape, but were required, they attain a shape of amoeba. These are present about 4,000 to 13,000 in number per cubic meter of blood. WBC are also produced in bone marrow and their lifespan is 12 hours to 12 days. If the number of WBC increase, it indicates that there is an infection in human body. These WBC are divided into two types, granulocytes and agranulocytes, which are further divided into five types. And these white blood cells, they play a major role in the protection of body. By engulfing the harmful substances which enter our body, they will protect the body. Coming to blood platelets, these are also called as thrombocytes. They are disc shaped cells without nucleus. These are present in 2 lakh to 4 lakh per cubic meter of blood. Their lifespan is 3 to 7 days and they are produced in bone marrow. They prevent loss of blood by forming a clot over cuts and wounds. This is about blood cells. And functions of the blood are: it helps in the transportation of nutrients, respiratory gases, it removes waste materials from the body, it distributes chemical substances called hormones produced in the body to the various parts to which where it gets affected. The blood will be protective in nature. They help in the clotting of it helps in the clotting of blood, regulates body temperature and maintains salt water balance.